Welcome to Timberborn. I'm Rever, and this is a new game that I bought a few weeks ago and I've played a fair amount of. It's still early access, and I thought I would show it to everyone. You guys can make a judgment whether you think it's worth it. To me, it's definitely has a lot of potential, and it might be something that you enjoy. If you like the workers and resources, it's more along the lines of a city slash country builder. I guess it's, you build up your little beaver dams and protect yourself against the incoming drought. So let's go ahead. Settings are nothing spectacular to look at. They're kind of what you would expect, not a huge number of them. Not sure how much more you need. I'm not a big one to mess with those things anyway. In any event, we have two different factions. In order to play this faction, we have to unlock it. Now, I just switched over to the experimental branch. We could take a look and see what's in there. So that'll make the video hopefully a little more relevant versus just being on the other branch. So the only one we can do at this point is the folk tales. So we will go ahead and choose them. And there's a few different maps. What is that, like about 8, 9 maps there? And the plains is the standard, quote, recommended. And there's reasons for that. It's probably not a bad idea to get started there. Once you get better, there's other reasons that these would be more challenging. A big part of this game is damming up the river so that you can survive the drought. That's pretty much the whole idea of it. We'll do it on the normal difficulty. I mean, it will be not so challenging for me, but if you've never played, it would definitely be reasonably challenging. The first time, I didn't know what I was doing. I just went into it blind, didn't watch any videos, and died. All my beavers died, I should say. I'm still alive. So there we go. So we'll buzz in here real quick, and we'll give it a pause. Okay, what do we want to call our settlement? How about Reverton? All right, sounds fair enough. So Reverton is the town name. Now we're going to pause it. There goes our beavers. Fairly cute little guys. They do their thing. And I've already played this map. Now it's a little bit odd that you can't get any other view but this one. Yet it is a fully 3D game. It's not like an isometric game. It's, you can buzz around however you want. WASD, all the standard stuff. Now, there we go. We have a little bit of a tutorial, so we'll follow that to some degree. One thing I want to do is we have the different keys down here. This paths are free to just get a regular path. A lot of times I tend to put a path all the way around there just to give them full access to that. Now, we have to be connected to this doorway. In a lot of these buildings, you'll see that's what we want to do. So let's lay a path out. It really doesn't make too much difference. Just straight on out to about here. Now, what we need to do, they're saying place a lumberjack flag, 2 of them. We can do that. Now, when you see the lumberjack flag, all right, over here. So each one of these categories is pretty common sense as to what it would be. One of the only things that really confused me was the gear workshop is under wood, so it's a wooden gear, right? There is metal, right? So you would think that the gears would be under metal, but they're not. They're wooden gears, I guess. And it's probably to do with, as much to do with game balancing as anything else. Now, if you look, there's a zone of effect that this thing will... So we could put these things closer to here, which would get us closer to these trees, or we put them in the middle, right? And then we would be able to collect all of the trees, but we'd have to go further to collect each one. So I'm going to kind of put this guy right in the middle there. Now, eventually we could build a ramp and get up to here, right? So I can place this guy, right? And that'll count as the lumberjack flag. Now, I will need to build a walkway up to here. Now, in the past, for lack of any other better thing to do, I was building kind of out like that. All right, so we kind of make this our center hub where things are shooting off of that. So there we go. So now we've got that. We need each of the buildings has to be connected. If we come here and click on this, you'll see there's green, and eventually that'll turn yellow and red to say you're too far away. Each of the buildings will have workers that are assigned to it. So these workers will help distribute stuff and also build things. So there is a build, is it here? Yeah, builder's hut. You don't need the builder's hut because this district center acts like a builder's hut. When they're not doing anything, they'll go and help distribute whatever, like if there's lumber here that needs to go to a yard or something, they'll do that. So let's go ahead and see. The flags will not be used unless the district's building is in range. Select the district center. Why is it? Oh, because we haven't built the flags yet, so it's giving us a sec. Now we're going to jump ahead here because I know this is even really more important than the lumber, though you have to get the lumber to get this. We have a pump jack or water pump. And if you look, this thing will go up to 2 deep. We only have water that's 1 deep here, not even 1 deep, but we're going to just go ahead and put one of these down. I know that's going to be one of our goals. We're going to, again, need to connect it with a path. Everything needs to be connected with a path, or pretty much everything needs to be connected with a path. Right, so that's another thing that we're going to need. And eventually we're going to need, obviously, food and water, but we're going to hold off on some of those things. Let's go ahead over to the food, and we're going to have a gatherer flag as a really easy early game thing. And again, the same thing with the effective area, right? So this guy will be able to gather these blueberries. I guess they're blueberries. They're certainly blueberries. Yeah, gather berries. They certainly look blue, so we'll call them blueberries. So there we go. So now we're going to build this gathering flag. Now another thing that we're going to need to do is storage. Logs are the only thing with their own separate storage. So if we wanted to put a log pile, recommend that you put this somewhere. It doesn't need to be near the water. Eventually we're going to build dams and whatnot along here. So our industry will work pretty well if we're building in the river area. So maybe we'll just put this guy. Don't want to take up good farmland either. Though our farms can tend to be over this way. Maybe we will just put this guy right down there. It's good enough. And then the regular other warehouse, it's a little bit frustrating because you can't change what will be accepted into the warehouse until after it's built. And then sometimes by the time you realize it was built, it's kind of, I don't want to say too late, but you're already got a bunch of other stuff that they've brought in there. So it would be nice if they one day change that. Now we do have a priority that we could tell them to build each of the buildings. All right, so if we said that this is our highest priority, they'll build that as long as they have the logs. Now, right now we don't have any logs because we haven't done the lumber thing. We actually haven't finished the lumber thing either, but I could still put this on like a slightly higher priority. They won't build that first because they'll want to build, like, say, this one first. And I'll even put that one on a high priority. And the other thing I need to do is this. And then there's one more most important thing that's very easy to forget. So even though we have that lumberjack thing, we can tell them specifically what trees to cut down. Now, it's part of some people's strategy to not tell them to clear cut because the trees will grow back and they will spawn other trees. So you could do like a checkered pattern, some people do, and then they let the trees respawn. We're going to just work our butts off and get to the point where we can have a, what do they call it? Lumberjack? That's not what they call it. Forester. And the forester can plant the trees. Now we do have a lumber mill, and then the lumberjack flag is what we just had. So we also want to cut down all these trees, and we'll cut down all these trees. So yeah, we're just clear cutting the forest, right? We can always come back and say don't, but we're going to need this game. The currency of this game is lumber. Lumber is the biggest single thing. So I think we're in pretty good shape. Now, at one point, we want to take this down because this water is irrigating this area. So if you look, all these areas without water are not, you can't really grow anything. You can build things, but you can't grow anything. So if we were to cut down this guy, we're going to demolish this. Now, the problem is this guy's probably not close enough to a road. So what I want to do, which I think will work out for future stuff anyway, is just kind of build a road. It doesn't have to be that close, but as long as it's not so far away from a road, they'll make their way over there. Now, eventually I'll probably get rid of these blueberry bushes, but until we get more food going, I'm just going to do that. So we'll start our beavers up. Another thing I'll do is if you look, we have 3 unemployed beavers, so 4 of them are in there. We have a total of 11. This is pretty typical with how you'll start. but 4 of them are children who aren't going to contribute that much. So that's, yeah, it's just what we have to do. I guess they eat our food, but they don't contribute. So you can see those 4 builders are going to go real quick, build those flags. And then as soon as we build the flag, they'll default at least a certain number. Depends, this is only 1, so it defaults and automatically has 1 of 1. We can, well, you can't go less than 1, but you can pause the building. And you can also pause the construction too, right? If we didn't want to construct this, we could pause it right now and it just won't construct it, just so you know. So that is possible. So if you wanted to control, like if you followed my Workers and Resources series, you know, I like to micromanage some of those kind of things, so that is possible. And then there we go. If you look, we now have water flowing into this area, and as soon as it gets close enough, you'll see that will green this area up just by taking out that block right there. So that's great because that's going to give us some extra farmland that's going to be really kind of nice to get started. Now, the challenge of this game, more than anything else, is to survive the droughts. And the number one thing that you can do to survive the droughts is to build a levee. And in order to build the levee, you're going to, and it's further down here that we could build it. I want to build it down here. Let's go. This is one of the few things. There is science. I'll show you that in a minute too. So landscaping has a dam or a levee. So I guess we can only build the dam right now. Now the dam will hold back some of the water. I guess you could say like 3/4 of the water. So it's going to hold back some of the water. So I just want to build a dam like right across here. And in the long run, that's going to maximize out the amount that we're going to get from this. So I'm going to go ahead and take a footpath. Right, this is not lining up perfect. I'll try the best I can. All right, so we're going to do a footpath down to there. And then what I want to do is we have this tool is like to demolish. So you have regular cut trees, but then I just want to demolish, mark resources for deletion. Right? I don't think that's going to affect my road. No. See, so now those builders will come out and they will cut down those trees prematurely. I don't think we get any wood for that, which is a little bit of a shame, but to me it's more important to get this. Now the other thing about these dams and the levees is that you want to build a path over top of them. It doesn't cost you anything extra for the path, but then that way they can get across. I mean, they'll go across onto them to build them, but they won't walk across it like a bridge. It won't be connected to the town center there like everything else is. Kind of messed up there, didn't I? All right, so there is research, and the way that works is a little bit unique, kind of nice, is that we have this science up here. Now, we have no science. If you look over here, we have a science tab, and we have an inventor, right? And it's pretty darn important to get the inventor and the science going right away. So I want to put this guy, like, say, right here. I want to stay off my grass because I want to use, at least to get started, a good amount of that for farms. Now, I'm not going to build right up. We can't build a bridge, and there's a good example. So if you look, I'm not sure, hopefully you can see that, but it says we need 70 science in order to be allowed to build bridges. So once we build, not bridges, I'm sorry, well, bridges too, but stairs, there's bridges over here. I'm not sure why I said bridges. Platforms, so you can have like just a walking platform. In addition, you can actually build things on top of each other. Now we can't, there's no point in doing that now, but let's go over to storage. If we wanted to put another storage up here, we could. Matter of fact, we can even place it, right? And I'll come over here and click and say pause, because I don't want to build it. And they can build above their heads a little bit, and they can build down below pretty good distance. So if it comes to building like real tall dams, they can build down like 5 or 6 deep, I think it is. Pretty deep. So in any event, I tend to like to build them up from the bottom anyway. It sort of depends on the circumstance, but there you go. Now the problem we have is that we would have to get a set of stairs and a platform or something. The stairs can go like straight up into that door, but we can take a look at that. Eventually we'll get all this basic stuff going, and I'll play forward a little bit. There we go. We cut these trees down, so that's nice. At least most of them. We got one left, so we can then connect this guy up. Now you say, well, why are we so anxious to get there? Let's make sure we have a person. No, we don't have any people, right? We have no unemployed. So I need to take somebody off of this because water, I should have been paying more attention. Water is very important. So let's take a person off of that. And we have somebody working on the water. We have somewhere everybody else, right? Yeah, everybody, all the other jobs are filled. Except, yeah, so that's it. So that's good. So let's now get one last footpath. This footpath is not that critical. They would still build this levee. For the dams, I'm sorry. So there we go. So we built 2 lumberjack flags. Wonderful. Let's see what else they want. Connect the lumberjack flags. We connected them with roads. And, yep, mark trees for cutting. We did that. We built a water pump right there. We did that. We built a gatherer flag. All right, we did that. So how much food do we have? We have no water, which is concerning. They should last about a day before they start having issues. And we might get some thirsty people because we weren't right on top of that. But that's okay. We should also survive it as well. Farmhouse. Yes, we haven't built a farmhouse. Let's go ahead and do that. We should put it relatively close to where we're going to put our farming fields. So I'm thinking that we end up doing 2 of them. One on each side of the road, but first, we don't have the people, so that's the bigger issue. So farmhouse is something we can do. Oh, an aquatic farmhouse. That's new. That must be the experimental. Harvest water crops. Maybe we'll start out with this one. All right. Again, it's a very big area, so you don't really have to worry about exactly where it's at. It just saves them a little bit of walking. To me, that seems pretty fair. And then what we want to do is come over here to plant crops. Carrot. All right. Now, there's people that have strategies around the bees. I think the bees can go like 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. So if you did like a 7 by 7 square, that's not too bad. Now, I always end up like doing more. Carrots are good to have. Any food is good. The other one we could do is potatoes. Now, the problem with potatoes is we come back over to the food. We'll have to build a grill, which is fine, and we can do it. We don't have to unlock any science at this point. But the problem we have is with the grill, you need more people, and we don't, like, as it is, we don't have enough. Now, one of our kids turned into an adult. That's good, but we'll very quickly use them up doing other things. But in the meantime, might as well put them to work there, right? Like when you get more advanced, it doesn't hurt sometimes to have some unemployed people. It's a little hard to balance it out perfectly, as you're trying to grow and you're going to need more people doing more things. Now another problem we're having is this needs to be a high priority, but not as high as, you know what, there we go with this. Let's do none, allowed none, right? And I just want them to put berries in there, right? So that's the only thing we had in there. But you can see how forgetting, next thing you know, it might be filled up. I kind of wish it would default to none, right? Where you just would have to go in there before it would start working instead of defaulting to accept everything. But in any event, I want to set some priorities. So I'm going to come over here and use this tool this time. And I'm going to say, you know what? Work on that first. And then, as a matter of fact, I also want to get the food thing going. That's very important as well. Work on this second. And then I could even come here and say, make that the lowest priority. Now, it's paused, so they won't work on it anyway. But even if they did, it would be like the last thing they did because that's the lowest priority. And then it's kind of cool. Sometimes I just sit in this mode and I will, wait for... it's good to see which one they're going to work on next if you're just kind of sitting there waiting for time to go forward. Pretty nice little feature there. So this being neutral is actually our second priority, right? Otherwise, what they do is more or less what I would say objects will be worked on in the order that they are received. Or calls will be answered in the order that they are received. So the reason they were working on this first was because this was the first thing that I had them do, which is not bad. We should have somewhere between 4 and 5 cycles, or 4 or 5 days before the cycle ends. Now, how are we doing on water? We're doing well. Another thing we want to do, let's come over here to our delete buildings, even though it's not a building. I want to get rid of that road. Well, no. I just want to get rid of these three. Yes. Now, these water tanks, I'll show you what I mean. We get these small water tanks, then they have the large water tank, which holds 300. So these only hold 30. You can fit the large one in the space of 3 small ones. All right, so we're gonna do 2 small ones, 3, and then let's pause the third one. Right, we really don't need that. We don't have the lumber. Like you'll see very quickly, lumber is our big issue. All right, and the fact that this guy's working from all the way over here. See these guys carrying logs? They are the builders, right? So they'll be carrying logs over to here if there's nothing else to build. So that they will help keep this guy going. So we're in good shape. We're moving right along. We're building kind of as much as we can. Keep an eye on our unemployed. Make sure everybody's always working. You know, in the meantime, this will be our priority, which like we're almost done. And getting one person working on inventing is really not the worst of things. So we only have 1 log, as you can see up at the top. Hopefully you guys can see fairly well. I didn't change the UI perspective. Hopefully most of you are on computers. See, that with 0 logs. So logs are our biggest problem. It might even be worth putting in like another flag. These flags are free. Now the only problem with that is I don't have any real extra people. But do we want to take off a builder at this point and get another logging camp going? All right, maybe over this way where even if we don't use it right this minute, at least, you know, they can start clearing out some of those. Doesn't really matter too much where we put it. And then when we have somebody come available, we can have them working right on that. Now, we don't have anybody in the inventors thing, so maybe we'll... One of the reasons I wanted to buy that ASAP was to get an inventor going. Same thing with the food. Even though the dam is very important, getting the science going is maybe not more important than the food, but it's awful nice because we can't build stairs to get to these other levels. The only reason we got to this level was because we went up this like natural stairs, the stone stairs that were already in the game. And you will see those around once in a while to make it not impossible, I guess. But you'll see a lot of it's limited if you don't have that. We do have a day-night cycle, and one thing I've done in the past, let me let this go forward, is actually increase, and I've never really had too much of a negative impact. If we were to increase this, let me just let it get past where I think it will go. I don't want to like send them into back to work mode. All right, yeah, see, so they're going to work 17 hours now. Now, I see some people cut this down, but eventually your beavers might not get all the things they need. Now, they don't really have many things to go get anyway, but in the future, we can build them housing, and housing gives them certain bonuses, and those bonuses obviously will help them. So they get the effects of sleep and shelter. So if I click on one of these guys, you can see here, this is his different effects. So his hunger is satiated, thirst is good, sleep, you know, he's got enough sleep. Shelter, what does shelter do? It increases, life expectancy plus 25%, walking speed plus 5%. So you get bonuses for each one. So if we give them carrots, we get a longer life expectancy. So shelter is pretty good because then they're going to move faster. Potatoes gives them strength, and this is nice because when you give them potatoes, they can carry more. And then bread, which is a little more advanced than we're going to get to. You can get more carrying speed, strength. Cattail crackers, that's a new one. I haven't seen that one. So get more carrying speed. Yeah, they've definitely added some more foods here that I haven't played with because it's been a few weeks since I played. And I wasn't on this experimental bench. But more importantly, we can do things like this campfire and increase their fertility, which will help us have more beaver babies. Not really the most important thing, in my opinion, but certainly not a bad thing either. It's, you know, I think it feels good to give them that. The more of these things they get, increases their well-being as well. And that's how we're eventually going to unlock the iron tails, the beaver tails. And, it's by getting more and more of these different things. So you can see there's quite a few books: observatory, temple, mud bath. Don't remember the mud bath or Lido. I'm not sure what that is. But anyway, you can see they get benefits. I think you get the idea. So that's, at the same time, there's no real negative to them, like not having a house right now. So for me, the big concern is like getting that dam built. After the dam is built, everything else can sort of take its own course, and I'm not too worried about it. Let's see. I think because we have no logs, there's not a lot of sense in having too many extra people here. So I'm going to take one of those off of there, which should have, it sends somebody over to here. So now we have 3 lumberjacks that are cutting wood, and at least for a little while, until we get ahead of it, I think that's a good place to go. Now, you can see we have these berries, so the berries are coming in pretty nicely, and we have our logging camp coming in here. Now, let me go ahead and raise the priority on one of these tanks. At least we'll have one extra tank. This can only hold like, what, 15? Yeah, 15 water, so we want to have much more of a buffer. Really, we want to get all 3 of these tanks done before we have this drought. Now, the benefit to building this dam is that we're going to hold water in this whole area. Now, it will start evaporating, and these droughts get more and more severe as time goes on. So we're going to have to build bigger and bigger. Like, we might build up a space, like a dam. You can see where they kind of almost have it set up for it, where we could build a dam right here. Would be very tempting for obvious reasons, and then fill in this whole area over here. But you have to watch out, because like the water would just run over this way. To see how the height of this is, well, over here it's like 3 higher than it is over here. So if we built a dam right here, it's going to just flood over here. So in order to do that, we're going to have to build some kind of a retention, maybe across here, in order to fill this up with water. And then we might not even really want to fill that up with water, right? Because this is good farmland. Maybe you want to go further along and store it up here. But the problem is, at some point, you just need to store a bunch of water. And this little dam is not going to be enough after several of these cycles. So they're considering a cycle, like the time in between and the time that you have the drought. So once the drought is over, it starts the next cycle. So now I think the days between the drought get longer, but I think there's also a bit of a randomness to it. And that might have to do with your difficulty level as well. I'm not sure. Usually played on this normal difficulty. Find it fun enough. But yeah, so really I've had it happen in like 5 or 6 days. But a lot of times you get to like 11 or 12 days before you have a problem. And hopefully you do, because we haven't even really started working on our dam yet. Right, so we're really just kind of, we got enough logs. Now we need more builders. So what I can do is, now that people are like all settled in their jobs for the moment, I can put that on. So if we do get anybody else, they're just going to go right over to become a builder. And they should come of age relatively quickly. Now, one of the things I've done in the past, not sure if this is the best way to do it ever, is I have built some houses, lodge, I guess they call it, beaver lodge. All right, we'll do it out this way. All right, we could put another one there, but I don't know. We'll save that space. Now, I want to put these on the lowest priority. We'll leave them active, but we'll just leave them like the last thing they do. This one's paused. We won't work on that at all. But there we go. So we're adding a little bit more. There we go. So now we have that. Yeah, we have enough wood. You know what? I'm going to pause this. Now, did somebody go into there? I want to take that down to one person. They went into here. All right, so this is how you would micromanage your people to get them to go where you want them to, is just to close off the other ones. It sort of forces them into there. Then we can like increase that back up. So there we go. So we have a beaver that's growing some food, which will be very important. Now we don't have a place to put it, so we probably should include carrots over here as well. Though eventually we might want to separate. These storages in the beginning aren't very big, and they're not too expensive to go ahead and get another one. So what are we working on now? We're working on this. Yeah, good. We'll get that done. Yeah, and it's just a matter at this point of us needing more people. Now, the way you get people is to have extra houses for them. All right, so at this point, even when we build those 2 houses, each house, I think, will hold up to 3. Yeah, 3 inhabitants. So we have 11 beavers. We're going to need more housing, like even just right off the bat. So we'll have to figure out how we're going to do this with no steps. Now, steps are pretty easy and quick to unlock as far as the cost of things go. Structure here. All right, so it's only 70. But really, the thing that we want first, the most important thing, I mean, steps are fine. You can go with steps. But it's the cheapest thing, and it's probably because they want to lead you in that direction, is this forester. Because if we run out of trees, that's it, right? Like, once you use up all the trees on the map, if you haven't gotten the forester yet, it's game over. And beyond that, you just want to get the forester planting trees. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, in my opinion, it'd be better to have him over here, but I just want to get him up and go. And even if it meant tearing them down, they're not that expensive. But let's talk about what they are. And what we're going to need in order to build this, which you can't really see from here, but well, yes you can. It says 7 planks. And in order to get planks, we need to go build a lumber mill. So I'm going to at least go ahead and show you guys this and get it started. Now, these things... Oh, I was wondering what that beaver was doing right there. He decided to sleep right where we were talking. These things, I think I'm going to go... Yeah, see, we could build one there, and then 1, 2, I think they're what, 3 wide or 2 wide? Yeah, 2 wide. All right, so we could build one here, because we're going to need more than, right, if we built one there. Now, I want to, now we have these gears. Now, do we have enough flexibility? I'm kind of forgetting. Yeah. So what I could do, in order to make this work, actually, I'll build this guy, which is a 4-way power shaft. Because in the future, we can build a water wheel, or we can build this beaver wheel, right? Now that I look at it, though, this is only 50, and this is 40. There's no real reason to build the beaver wheel if we can get away with this one. So we're going to build that guy there, and then we can attach this up, which will provide power to here, but then also distribute it to other places. Now, there's a limit to how much it distributes, which is 90 horsepower, right? So then if we look at the building, like this lumber camp or lumber mill, needs 50, all right? So this will only power one of these. Now, we could build another. We won't do it right now because 50 lumber is plenty. Let me, as a matter of fact, let me do something else real quick so we don't build this. All right, so that brownish is actually like a light red, I guess. So it's, you know, lesser priority for right now. But they will get to it eventually if there's nothing else to do. We could build, what I was saying is, another water wheel here and put several of them across there, right? So we can combine that. I don't know if there's a limit to how much power these things can transmit. I've never hit it, but I've never built anything that was too super duper elaborate. Oh, look, we built our farmhouse. Plant carrots. Oh, they want us 5 more carrots to beat that goal. We could do that. Let's do 5 more carrots. All right. So there we go. So, log pile, yep, small water tank. Oh, they want us to build 3 of them. Okay, well, we're getting this one on the list. I'm not going to worry about it too much. Certainly not until they at least fill it up, right? So it should take them a little while. Now, I build the tanks further away from here because they can go in here to get water, But a lot of the stuff they're doing, like when they go to sleep at night and all that stuff, is being done over here. So I didn't want to, make it too much work on them in a sense. But it really makes a big difference if we can get this done, right? If we can get that dam built, then that's going to mean that during the first floods or during the first droughts, we're going to be able to keep going, and we're not going to end up dying because we're going to keep being able to build more farms. I'll keep being able to harvest our farms, and the farms will keep growing. So it's not only the fact that we don't have any water, we also don't have food, which is arguably even more important. So, yeah, so what else is there about this? Well, I think it's just, the advancement. You can see they're adding things. They are still working on the game. But I think the water dynamics is really cool. It is definitely a challenge to try to survive your first drought. If you do all the things that I just did, then I think you'll most likely survive your first drought. We'll probably stay until that happens. We'll get enough advanced warning. So what I may do now is just let time advance a little bit when we get close to building the dam. And if it comes up that we're going to get the flood, then I will definitely come back when something more exciting happens. But in the meantime, we'll just start harvesting carrots and we'll keep doing our science. And yeah, we'll keep harvesting some water. We'll keep an eye on that. I'll build these tanks out as we get extra wood. Though extra wood will be hard to come by. Oh, look, we got another person. Where did that person go to work? Yeah, they went right to work in the district center. So if we needed to get more trees, but for the moment, we're okay because we don't have that many builders. But now that we have the third builder, we might use up all the wood. That's the other thing too, is each one of these, where is it? Each one of these needs 20. So that's quite a bit of wood compared to we could build those much more quickly and easily. So we'll see. We'll get the water tanks built shortly. But if we can get this built, then we don't need to worry about the water tanks nearly as much. So we'll see what happens. See how close we get to the next drought. Let me pause the video for a minute, and I will come back, and we'll see a drought together, and then we'll probably call it quits. And let me know if you want to see more of the series. But we'll go from there. We're getting pretty close to building our dam. And I wanted to show you the water physics and kind of how they work. You can see it's still flowing across here. But you'll see there's even, I don't know if you can make that out. Here, let me actually do this. Maybe that's a little easier to see. You can still see it's flowing through the dam once it gets over a certain height. But down here, it's not. Because the water is being drawn through here faster. So they have some really neat water physics. Where upstream, I don't know if you remember looking. But before, the water level was a lot lower. Because we're kind of constricting it now. Now, the problem with it now is that if we didn't finish this last piece, when the drought comes, the water's going to stop flowing. Let me go show you that. So the water flows from all the way up here, this outlet. Now, each map will have at least one of these. I think only one, but I don't think I've looked at all the maps. But there you can see it flows downhill, and it follows at a reasonable approximation to what water does in real life. And that makes, your dam beavers, your beaver dams. That's the whole point of this. Makes it unique and interesting. And it's actually really fun to play with. It's a little bit of a slow game. And it took, a fair while on 2 times speed to get up to that point. But we're doing pretty well. We've got 3 beavers chopping wood. Now, look, this guy's pretty much done. Now, one of the problems with where I put him is, he can only help so far. So at some point we'll have to remember to get rid of him but he can work on these at least in the meantime. And then we can get this done. But I also wanted to show that we have 99 science. So what I want to do is I will go ahead and unlock the forester. Right, that's by far and away the most important thing. Now, the problem with the forester is we don't have those beams, or those, what do you call it? The planks. So I'm going to hit R and flip this guy around, right? Why is that? Oh, because I got the tree right there. Let's see, can I put him right here? Now, I want to put him here so we can start putting a few across the other way, right? We could put some on the other side of our dam. And there you go. We have our beaver dam. It's just about done. I know it looks done because we have the footpath there, but okay. So it was like a future footpath. For some reason they count the path as done. That's kind of odd. I don't remember seeing that way, but we only have a little bit more. 4 more pieces of wood and we'll be done and ready to go. And then as far as the forester goes, yeah, I think I'm going to put him on a priority that's lower than this guy, which would be the lowest, right? So they shouldn't build him until they have nothing else to do. Now these, yeah, we definitely need to get houses. Part of my rushing forward to get this is the cost. Like what you would do, you will likely survive the first drought as long as you have enough of these water barrels. And if you look, we did build all 3, so let's go ahead and continue. They want us to build 6 lodges, and that is pretty smart. Now, where do we want to build these? I'm just trying to keep them out of the way. Yeah, we could put another one right there, huh? Yeah, I do want to build another. Well, we could build these other places too. We could build them like up over here. If we could get to the stairs, if I had unlocked that, which might have been smart because we're not going to get to this anyway. At least not immediately, because you see they're just starting to build this. Let's go ahead and plop down some more houses. And 6 is fine. I'm thinking we just, for now, oh, there's a tree there. Yeah, let's. I do wish you could like tell things to remove and not have to go to this tool here. All right, there we go. So we'll have to wait for that to get done before we can plant it. But getting the shelter and this is really not bad because I think the shelter increases their life expectancy and walking speed. So the shelter is pretty nice to get them. And because we're going to start having, oh, look, there already. We had one died of old age. So we do need to replace them and extend it. But the good news is, look at that. We got the dam done. So that means when the water stops flowing, we're going to be ready to go, and this will stay filled pretty much through the whole first drought. I forget how many days until the water will evaporate, like 5 or 7 days, something like that. And the first drought's liable only to last like 3 days, so there you go. So let's see if we can't fast forward time through the night. I think you guys get a pretty good idea. Like I said, I do want to show you that first drought and what happens. So let's just see if it usually, I think, announces it like first thing in the morning, like when this clock gets around to the right spot. So let's just see if it announces it today. If not, I'll pause it and come back right after it announces it. No reason to think it would be on the 9th day versus any other. All right, I'll be right back when we get our drought. Okay, we just got our warning. It flashed red, made a little noise up here, saying that in 3 days' time, we will have a drought incoming. So it'll take quite a while. Let me repause it. I was hoping that flashing would stop, but see a little line of red right there. See, in 2.9 days, we're going to have a drought. So we need to get ready for it. Now, one of the things that I did while I was paused there was decide to go ahead and build these houses. I thought about the fact that the population control, so you don't have a beaver explosion, is done by the fact that you have houses for people. So if there's 12 spots and we only have 10 beavers, we had a child, right? So we will likely at some point have another child, so we'll have 2. Now, I don't want to go too crazy with this because we don't have enough people and we're in the middle of the drought, so I do like to wait. Now, we got a little notice that our beavers are now happy with a well-being of 5. Let's go and click on one of them. They're a little bit hard to catch when we're in super fast forward here. See, well-being of 5, and the reason for that is because we gave them shelter. The base was 3 because we had hunger, thirst, and sleep. And because we gave them shelter and carrots, they got up to a 5. So you can see we need to get them all the way up to 11 by getting them 6 more of these different things. I'm imagining that one of the reasons they increased it to 11 is that we now have more food options. Some of them might be a little bit more complicated to make, I guess, but in any event, that's probably a little bit easier because they've given you more stuff here that you can build than you had before. So, like I said, I don't remember the mud bath or the Lido thing there, so there we go. So this guy's age of 1, I guess, is that adulthood? Don't really understand that 100%. I'm not sure where the child is. There you go. You can see now that we're getting, once we get down to the begin, all this happens at the beginning of each day. So let's see. Oh, look at this. There we go. We now don't have a connection to the road. That's a no good. All right, we'll just build it up this way, because we build another one, we'll build it right here. So that road will work for both, and then if we need to, we could always build. The part of the trick of this is planning things out when you don't know what things work like. Now notice this. The shaft is turning the wrong direction. The wheel is turning this way, but the shaft is going towards me. That's turning away. That's funny. I never noticed that that would be wrong. Or is it wrong? No, look, it's switching. Yeah, look at that. I'm going to say, first it looked wrong and then it looked right. Really, the wheel is going the wrong... No, the wheel's going the right way. This is going the wrong way. In any event, we should be making planks. Oh, we don't have any worker. Is it worth... Yeah, I think it's worth taking somebody out of here. Yep, we got somebody in there. Good. So now we're making planks. Now we should probably also consider another storage or warehouse. All right, so we'll build a warehouse there. And I did relocate this Lumberjack to over here. So we'll leave them go for now. There's no real pain in harvesting all these trees. The big issue now that we need is to get some lumber made, right? Get some planks. Also, we'll see our thing. I'm not going to continue this particular map. I've done this before, if you can't tell from how well it's going in a sense. Like I said, mostly just want to show you the drought, since that's the big dynamic of the game, and the thing that's really your enemy is the drought. I mean, there's a little bit of a challenge to the other things, and of course we're just on normal mode. If you ramp this up, it becomes a lot harder. You might, let me put it this way, I know I can get away with in normal mode building this dam first, but if you were in a harder mode, you might really want to go for like getting your water supply stocked up. And see, like we took a lot of effort to build that dam versus building our food up, but I know by building the dam my food will continue to grow, and that's just as important. Now, at some point, we should put another person in here, but I really need to get this going. Now, I have 105 points, so here we go. So let's see about unlocking this. Yes. We could talk about building a ramp up. Yeah, I'd need the platforms a little bit, but we can build this up. Right, and then I think maybe what we could do, show you how this works real quick. It's not that spectacular, but neat little feature, right? I could build 2 more like there and there, right? And then eventually we could build more like here and here. Let me pause these two. Right, and then we'll build a path. Always got to remember the path. And then eventually I can unlock these platforms, which will cost 100 science, and that's definitely something you want to unlock. And we could put like platforms along here, and then they can walk into there. All right, so you can imagine you could build quite impressive and big apartment complexes, which is neat. The verticality, not a lot of games have that. How spectacular is it? I've been more impressed by other features of games, but it's cool. It's different. There we go. So now what are we doing here? Yeah, no, let's make that top priority, right? Now, is this the best place for us? No, I'm definitely going to build another one somewhere over here because we can get over there, but this will cover, we'll get all of this planted in trees pretty quickly. Let's take a look at that. Plant crops, and then we have this plant trees. Now, the challenge here is that these birch trees grow in 9 days but only give you 1 log. Pine trees grow in 12 days but give you 2. So obviously it's a lot better to grow pines. Maples would take 30 days, but they give you 8 logs. I think they even upped that. I think that used to be 24. Oh, it also gives you maple syrup. Okay, we have a chestnut tree. Or maybe it was the chestnut tree we have. I thought it was maples we had before. They seem to have changed this, which is fine. So we get 4 logs for 24 days. Now, they've definitely, but you also get chestnuts. I see. So I think what I would like to do is go with some birch trees for at least part of this. Right, all of that will get planted in birches. All of this, whatever's not already a pine tree, will get planted with pine trees when that guy gets built. Right? So that's how the forester works. And then we upped his priority, so he should get built very shortly there. And then we'll actually need somebody. Yep, look, I was wondering how we got 13, but we already built this house, so we got room for 15 beavers. Probably not the greatest thing to do right before a drought starts, but I think we'll probably be okay. Let's see, do we have... No, nobody's unemployed, so we do need to talk about... Yeah, I think we can cut down on the Lumberjack flag, people. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to pause that. I'm going to trash that Lumberjack flag altogether at this point. If I build another one, we'll build it over here, close to this. Right, in the meantime, this guy's cutting his trees over there. But there you go. Here's our drought. Let me just slow it down. You see the river dried up completely. However, our little dam area still has some water in it. And this area has some water in it too. Why is that? Is it just taking a while to drain it out? Yeah, I think it's just still draining it out because it's like there is a physics to it. It's not all instant. But this will go down. This will keep water in it because it's sort of a low spot. So there will stay water in here. But it will drain out of this big pond lake area. All right, you can see it's already drained out. It would have dried out where we were at, but we saved it. And that makes a big difference. So there we go. We built 6 lodges. We can go up. We built the inventor. We built the water wheel, which is over there. Lumber mill, and we power the lumber mill with our little cogs there, our little wheels. You would think you'd need gears for that, but I guess you can't have the chicken before the egg or something like that. And we built a forester, and we planted pine trees, and good luck. So there you go. That's Timberborn. Like I said, if you want to see any more, I could definitely see myself playing this game more. I sort of waited after I played it enough. I said, well, let's see what they do with the early access if they keep working on it. And they have been. That's encouraging as well. So definitely something I would recommend. It's $25, so it's not the cheapest kind of indie game, but definitely unique and I think worth playing. So I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think in the comments or, whatever else. Thank you guys. Have a good day. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.